that spell, yo? Conflict, clashes, fights, arguments, amazing banter. Oh my gosh. So in this book, hi wonderful people, and welcome to my channel Book Craves. I'm Jessa. How are you going? What's up with the scene? Listen, I hope you're doing well. I hope everything is good with you. I hope that you are enjoying the books that you're reading. I hope that those books are really enjoyable, that they are page turners, and they are totally unputdownable. I hope everything honestly is going so well for you, regardless of what aspect of your life it is in. So today's video, I'm going to talk about books that remain with you. You can read 100 other books, but these books, for some reason, sticks with you regardless of whatever might come after. It's like your first hits, you know? You get that high the first time, but you can never ever achieve that high again. And that was my experience with these books. These books are so memorable. I fell in love with these books the first time I read them. And believe it or not, I have read these books multiple times. I don't know if they are memorable to you. I don't know if you have read any of these books. But if you haven't, I suggest that you do. Read it. No. Finish whatever you're reading first and then read these. These books, I wish that I could read it, like not knowing anything about it, just being awestruck and being left wowed and thinking, oh my goodness, this was a good book. Like, how did the author come up with this? Like, it's magnificent. If you have had a similar experience, let me know which books did that for you. I would love to read them. If you want to know what books that left this impact on my mind, on my heart, on everywhere else that we're not going to say, then keep watching. So I have 6 books for you. I went through hundreds of books, and these are the books that left some piece of it within me. Ruthless People by J.J. McEvoy. Now, first of all, this is absolutely one of my all-time favorite series. Like, I have a video about those books, so it's right up there. Y'all, this book, when I read this book, I was left in awe. I became addicted to anything mafia because of this book, and I wish I could reread that book not knowing a damn thing that happened. Ruthless People, it is centered on Melody and Liam, and Melody is the head of the Italian mafia. However, she is the head in the background, and her father is really the main person. However, he's sick and dying, so she's running the organization. And Liam, he is next in line to rule the Irish mafia, but he cannot do so until he's married. And so there's this arranged marriage between Liam and Melody. Now, Liam, being who he is, being who he know he's supposed to be, the way that he was raised to be a leader, he is expecting Melody to be meek, to be weak, and to be subservient. But that is not Melody. Hell no. She has been running the show. She knows how the mafia works. She has her own connection. She has sass. She has attitude. And she is ruthless in her own right. And when they come together, it's like they are there to rule the world. This was the first time that I read a book with a heroine that was so ruthless and so Melody. She left her mark on me because my girl, she had it going on and she didn't need Liam. But know that this book, it is graphic, It is intense. It is action-packed. You get violence in it. It all works so well. And this actually, for me, is my standard of a good mafia romance. I kid you not. Like, if I don't get these things in a mafia, then what are you doing? What are you doing? Right? I need you to be ruthless. If I could, I would. I would love to reread this for the very first time and fall in love all over again with this series, with this plot, with this storyline, with the characters, with Take No Prisoners. Oh, this is what we talk about. This is what I talk about. This is what I live for. Tempting the Beast by Laura Lee. Now, this Breed series, when I read Tempting the Beast, I never knew you can get characters like that. I became addicted to this series to the point where I had to read all the books in this series. But this one and one other book, Coyotes Mate, if I could reread these stories for the first time, yo, do you see my face? If I could reread Tempting the Beast, because this started me down a road, the scientific elements and the mating heat. Like, I know I would read Shifter Romance and there would be mating and the mating heat, but for some reason this just took it to another level. In this book we meet Marinus and Callan, and Callan, he is a breed, he is mixed with animal DNA. You can see some of those features. The world doesn't know about it. There's experiments taking place unbeknownst to the rest of the world, and someone dies, and so Marinus, she goes in to investigate and to find out more about it, only to discover Callan and what was done to them, and knowing that they are not fully human. And so this was the first mating between a breed and a human, and you saw how intense that could be. The fact that they are like superhuman men, and Marinus, she was innocent. She didn't know anything, but it was too late. And so although Marinus tried to fight the mating, she couldn't. Her body wanted what her body wanted, you know? So yeah, love this book. Now, with Coyotes Mate, it was a very difficult mating. You get this intense mating only for the heroine to be separated from her mate after they were mated. Anya, she goes to the breed council and asks for a separation, and it was the first time any mate was ever separated. Delgado, he is the head of the Coyotes pack. When he's not there, she's head of the Coyotes pack. When he's present, she goes down to being absolutely nothing. You know, when something is totally irresistible, you can't help but wanting it. That's the chemistry between Delgado and Anya. It is electrifying and it is irresistible, and fighting your mate only made things worse. It was so intense, the banter, oh my god. I just love the tension and the build-up that was there between Delgado and Anya. Yo, if I could reread that book for the very first time, life would be good. Some of you all may not know this, but I am a lover of historical romance. Historical romance got me hooked on reading romance. This particular one, The Bride, if you have not read that book, what are you waiting on? No, you need to go pick up that book now, because The Bride, this is my favorite book by Julie Garwood, and it has stuck with me. In this book, we meet Jamie and Alec, and Jamie is the last daughter to be born in her family. She has 2 or 3 older sisters, but however, the older sisters, they're all spoiled. She's the one that does everything. She's like the Cinderella, you know. And so Jamie, her father, he's in debt, and so an agreement is struck where he'll need to marry off 2 of his daughters to 2 Scottish lads. And so Alec, he immediately is attracted to Jamie. He's attracted to her spirit. He's attracted to the fact that she's fierce. He adores that she's not focused on outward appearance and more focused on the inside. Like, he likes these things. And so on their journey to his home in Scotland, he realizes that she has some really good skills, that she can fight, and she's not one of those damsel in distress. And Alec, he was previously married, been there, done that. He doesn't want any more of it. But Jamie, being Jamie, she worms her way into his heart. So you have a lot of mystery in this book. You have a lot of suspense in this book. You have a very determined, strong heroine, but you also have a hero whose heart is as stone. It wasn't no willy-nilly kind of thing. No, because you know I don't do that. So this story, I loved every minute of it. This is one of my favorite fantasy paranormal reads ever. And again, I've read it multiple times. This story blew my mind, and this is Fighting Destiny by Amelia Hutchins. It is book 1 in the Fae Chronicles, y'all. Like, again, I love a fierce, sassy, strong heroine, and I get that in this book. I also get a very tough, jealous, dominant, controlling hero in this book. What does that spell, y'all? Conflict, clashes, fights, arguments, amazing banter. Oh my gosh. So in this book, we meet Cynthia and Ryder. And Ryder, he is pretending to be the prince of the dark fae who is looking for his light princess. And Sin, she is part of the guild, and the guild is tasked with protecting the humans from the fae. When the dark prince comes over into the human world, she is tasked with helping him find the light princess, and then she's pulled into this world. You had a lot of push and pull, because when Raider saw her, he was attracted to her. However, he was what Cynthia feared, and so it was difficult for Cynthia to give in to that attraction. And let me tell you, things were seriously intense. The storyline in this book is phenomenal. The plot I loved, and the characters, you met so many secondary characters that this book could not be as good as it is without those characters. They added so much layer into that story. Books from those secondary characters. The book was funny. The book was intense. The story is lovable, likable, phenomenal. The characters you love. The sensual scenes this author created. The action in this book, like the fight scenes. Oh my goodness, y'all. The fight scenes are great. And I think this is one of the books that define my taste as a reader, as a romance reader. I love those scenes. If an author is able to write a good, detailed fight scene and not fluff over things, it makes the story so much better. I read this book several years ago, but it stuck with me. I remember the build of the story, the climax, the plot. It all stuck with me. The author did such a great job doing the world building, creating that dynamics between the characters, the villains. I have read many more like that since then, but this one has stuck with me. And I've read great stories, but none would ever be as amazing as your first time. Now, Destino by Sienna Minks. Again, this is one of my all-time favorite interracial romances. This is book 1 in my all-time favorite mafia romances as well. This book I fell in love with, and I wish I could read this book for the first time again, because this book introduced me to a world of interracial love. The story begins in 1989. Myra, she is a well-known African-American fashion designer. Giovanni, he's the head of one of the strongest Italian mafia or crime organization in Italy. And Myra, she and her friends decide to go to Italy just for a little relaxation, to see if, you know, look at business ventures. And Giovanni sees her because where she wants to start like this fashion house, Giovanni uses that to run some illegal activities, and so he needs to get her out. But he meets her and he becomes fascinated with this African-American woman. He has not met or seen anyone like that, and so she unknowingly makes Giovanni hooked on her, for the want of a better word. And so he pursues Myra. Everything is going good until everything is shattered, because with the mafia you can never be safe, you can never protect the ones you love. So in this book you had a lot of loss, you had betrayal, you had secrets, you had friendship, you have the awakening of sensual desires. Like, there was so much going on in this book, and honestly there's a lot going on with this series. But Destino, when I read Destino, I immediately went to book 2 and then went to book 3 and then went to book 4 in this series. I love how the relationship develops between Giovanni and Myra. I love that she wasn't settling for less. She made him work for it. She didn't like say, oh, well, you're the bad guy, you're the head of the mafia, although she wasn't too sure of that. So she didn't give in to him just because, you know, he was all this, you know, sexy guy with a nice Italian accent. It wasn't like that for her, right? She was a successful business woman. These books are so memorable to me and hold a special place in my heart, and I'm sharing that with you. And I hope if you read these books that you love it the same way. I honestly wish I could reread each of these books for the first time, for the very, very first time. I'm getting kind of emotional, but it's all good. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you stuck to the end, I really appreciate you. I appreciate all the support. So thank you so much. You can follow me on my different social media accounts, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell, and look out until I post another one.